Everyone thinks living forever is a gift, something beautiful and peaceful that you should be grateful for every single day. You've buried 125 dogs, and you already know this one will not be the last. You stop giving them names somewhere around number 50. It just makes things easier when they're gone. You like roasted boar, the smell, the texture, the taste, but that is not something an elf is supposed to admit. So instead, you sit there eating leaves for the 300th year in a row, pretending this is what you actually enjoy. But it's not just the food. It's the constant aggressive purity. You don't just wash your face, you burn away the imperfections. This is lunar essence. It feels like 1,000 tiny needles made of ice and ego, scrubbing your soul until you're transparent. And if you think a hot shower sounds nice, forget it. Heat is for the lower races, for those who still have sweat glands. Every morning starts with the mirror inquisition, because in this forest, a single red spot on your forehead is a death sentence for your social life. So you spend 2 hours polishing your skin until it glows, not with health, but with the sheer effort of staying relevant. Think magic builds these forests? Wrong. You're a leaf polisher. Your job is to make sure nature looks more perfect than it actually is. Every single oak is tied with silver wire to grow in perfect circles. If a branch dares to go wild, you're the one who chokes it back into place. It takes 500 years to finish one garden. By the time you're done, you've forgotten why you even liked trees in the first place. And the tools? They're silver, elegant, and sharper than a dragon's tooth. They cut through the vines and your fingers with equal grace. You've had the same paper cut on your thumb since the Third Age. But hey, at least your bandages are made of the finest enchanted silk. Privacy? That's a human concept. In this forest, even the trees have ears and eyes, and they report everything to the High Council. You are never alone. Your neighbors aren't friends, they're aesthetic consultants waiting for you to fail a single social ritual. There are laws for everything. How many times you blink, the exact pitch of your laughter, the way you hold your essential dew cup. Blink 3 times too fast? That's a week of re-education in the silent groves. No talking, just humming at the moss. And don't forget the inquisitors of the mirror. They don't check for sins. They check for wrinkles, split ends, and any sign of aging. Being perfect isn't free. You pay the aura tax every cycle. It's calculated based on how much starlight you consume just to keep your skin from looking gray. One missed payment, and they cut off your magical subscription. Within a week, your hair loses its shine, and you're basically a fancy human. Be honest, if you live 500 years, how much would you pay per month to keep your hair glowing? Or would you just go human mode? Then there's the silence debt. Since elves live forever, they've accumulated thousands of years of interest on everything they've ever borrowed. You're not just a citizen, you're a long-term financial asset for the High Lords, and they're not planning on letting you liquidate anytime soon. So you keep polishing, you keep eating your leaves, you keep smiling, because being a poor elf is the only thing worse than being a tired one. Your senses aren't just sharp, they're violent. Every whisper sounds like a gunshot in your soul. Smelling a human from 3 miles away? Sounds cool, until you realize humans smell like wet wool and existential failure. And the light. You don't see colors, you see the truth. Every imperfection, every microscopic germ, screaming for your attention 24/7. Even your clothes are a trap. To a human, it's silk. To you, it's 1,000 tiny razors rubbing against your hypersensitive skin. So you stay still. You move like a statue, because every step is a sensory overload you didn't ask for. Memory is a curse. Humans forget their childhood embarrassments. You remember a sneeze from 400 years ago. Every awkward silence, every failed joke, every person who ever looked at you with pity. It's all archived in high definition. You don't make new friends. Why bother? You're still replaying an argument you had with your mother in the Second Age. They call it elven wisdom. It's not wisdom. It's just 5 centuries of, I should have said that instead. So you look wise. You look deep. But really, you're just trying not to cry because you remembered a cat you had in the year 842. Magic isn't about fireballs or saving worlds. For you, it's just a high-end vacuum cleaner that never stops. You spend half your mana just making sure your hair flows perfectly, even when there's absolutely no wind. Everything is enchanted. Your spoon, your boots, even your toilet. It doesn't make life easier. It just makes it more expensive to repair. You remember exactly how to fold a shirt by hand. You just haven't touched actual fabric in 300 years. Your hands are for casting, not for touching reality. You're a master of the arcane arts, and you use that power to make sure your tea is exactly 167 degrees every single time. Humans are like mayflies. By the time you've learned their name, they've already aged, wrinkled, and died. It's like befriending a very talkative piece of fruit. And dwarves? They're basically just loud rocks that smell like coal and bad decisions. They build things to last, but they forget to make them beautiful. Orcs are easier. They don't pretend. They just want to break things. It's honest, in a filthy, loud, and incredibly annoying sort of way. You treat them all with elven grace, which is just a polite way of saying you're waiting for them to go away so you can bleach the floor where they stood. You're the pinnacle of evolution, the most refined being in existence, and yet you've never felt as alive as a human does during a single drunken weekend. Free time? You have too much of it. Your quick hobbies last for centuries. You've been learning the flute since the last king died. You're still on the first 3 notes. Reading a book is a generational project. By page 10, the author's entire civilization is usually extinct. You collect things that don't change. Stones, ancient coins, feelings of superiority. It's the only way to stay sane when everything else rots. Sometimes you just stare at a waterfall for 40 years. It's not meditation, you're just too tired to look away. Death for an elf is rare. Usually it's just a tragic accident involving a high balcony and too much wine. There are no funerals, only removal ceremonies. They take your jewelry, your title, and your spot in the choir. Your family doesn't cry. They've had 800 years to say goodbye. They're mostly just annoyed about the paperwork. You become a memory, a name in a book that no one reads because they're too busy remembering their own names. The only real tragedy? You finally achieve perfect silence, and you're not even there to enjoy it. Wait, how long have I been talking? 8 years? Right. I barely noticed the seasons change, but the garden looks different now. Number 126 just passed away while I was mid-sentence. She was a good girl. I remember every hair on her tail. But that's the problem. I remember all of them. 126 identical lives blurring into a single, endless bark. Maybe I should have been born a dwarf. They don't polish leaves. They hit things with hammers and drink until they can't remember yesterday. But the sun is rising. Number 127 is waiting for her water. And I have more perfection to endure. Pay your aura tax with a like and subscribe, unless you'd rather be a dwarf digging in the dirt. See you in the mines, if you dare.